welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your magical moon message. This is the Peace Dealer, and I hope you gain the utmost of quality from this report or moon message. I'm thinking of doing a consultation. Yeah, I think I might be able to upload videos on Instagram again. So I'm gonna test with this. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, you're watching this, but if you're on Instagram watching this, then I was able to trim the video to the max quality. If not, then you're probably not going to be watching this on Instagram and you're just watching this on YouTube, but whatever. We are at the full moon. I scheduled the full moon for 5 o'clock and then realized that the full moon won't be exact until 7 o'clock. So we're going to do the transit talk for Mercury in between, and then we'll close off the day with that non-consent form ritual with the moon in Libra as you get ready to be plunged into another edition of Magic Wars. In fact, you literally just activated the evolution of new power. You know, you are leveling up your character. If you've ever played an RPG, a role-playing game, when you create a character, each character has a class. They could be a warrior if you're playing like Final Fantasy. They could be, or Dungeons and Dragons. I've never played that, but I play Final Fantasy. They could be like a cleric. They could be a magician. They could be someone who has more defensive stats. You know what I'm saying? You have your stats, your attributes, your values, okay? But the actual class of your character, whether you're going to be a warrior that has more attack points, or you're going to be like a priest or a cleric that heals people, or a support character, that's based on who you identify yourself to be, and the powers that come relative to who you are have leveled up. I hope you know the actual purpose of leveling up and activating this power that you are harvesting right now for the next week is so that you can take it to war. That's actually it. Imagine you're in an RPG and you have to actually level up your character because, well, Magic Wars. Magic Wars 6, 7, 8, and 9. We're finishing Magic Wars 5. Don't worry too much about the details of why it's 5 or 6 at this point. I'm just saying whatever. But what's really, really, really important here is relative to this whole notion of class distinction, and not so much hierarchy, but like how you identify yourself. The attributes of your stats are what we're going to strengthen Taurus season. And you have to be clear on who you are so you know what attributes you'll be ready to strengthen. And this is where, now that we are at the full moon in Libra, the full moon brings completion with the 180-degree opposition coming into the 270-degree completion mark post harvest. So we're going to go from 180 degrees to 270 degrees, moon in Libra, moon Scorpio, moon Sag, 270 moon cap. That third quarter square is the conclusion of this harvest, where we are at this harvest phase, taking the seeds we planted 2 weeks ago, and we're reaping what we sowed. The individual actions you have taken over the past 2 weeks to expand what more you can do with this evolved awareness of who you identify yourself to be. We are now harvesting by you understanding the social actions from other people and how they respond, and how you also hold space and feel their response in relation to who you have evolved yourself to be. Hence, the practice that through the moon in Virgo had you integrate new behaviors aligned with this new identity. If you think of choreography, where you're dancing, you're practicing your dance moves being an analogy for your superpowers. You're practicing your superpowers. Well, this full moon is where we're no longer practicing. We're no longer practicing choreography. We're performing and presenting choreography. Libra is presentation. Leo is more like stage performance and performance, but Libra is presentation. The polish of how you present your brand and image. That's why Libra is so image obsessed, because they're very aware that despite how much substance you may have within yourself, how do you express that to make it look? Because even if you do have substance, unfortunately, if people don't like the way you look, they're not going to care if you have substance. And this is actually a horrible thing. Where we live in a world where, you know, yeah, you might be the most talented at something, but if you show up at a job interview looking like a homeless man, they're not going to want to hire you because you didn't look right. And that's really stupid, because even though there is importance, there's a truth to the reason why. Of course, if you care about yourself and if you know what you're doing, you're going to present well. But the flaw to that is this really just invites people to just look the part without being the part. And this is another theme of this full moon you have to be careful about. Would you rather be the multi-talented, skilled individual who looks homeless when he goes out, and so people don't really even think this person is worth anything? Or would you rather be the person who looks the part? You got the image down, you look fly, you're wearing expressive clothing, but you're not skilled at all. You have no fucking talent. You suck at what you do. It's crazy, because that second dude will get hired more than the person who has all the skills in the world, because people just care about what looks right. And that ends you up with an industry and society of talentless, soulless beings who care more about what they look than who they are. And so really invite yourself to notice this theme and dynamic with this full moon, where you'll early on be really clear on who actually has substance and who's just faking it until they make it. Anyway, what you're going to really enjoy about this full moon is that this is the beginning of unpacking and harvesting the completion of what you sowed the seeds for. And what that's going to look like is you actually feeling how much you have evolved. Because relative to the seeds you planted, now you're with other people doing so much more than you used to do. So much more confident with other people than you used to be. Expressing new elements of your skills and talents that you've never expressed, because now you've leveled up. So the way you might play guitar before you leveled up was really dope. But now that you've leveled up, it's exquisite. You can now hit the same talents you've had with this extra experience and wisdom, enabling you to create new abilities that are completing now. So the moon in Scorpio is going to intensify these results of whatever partnerships you bridge by transforming boundaries and the intimacy and trust based on who's receptive to who you have become. And Sagittarius moon transit is going to ascend your vision of yourself in light of who you have evolved yourself to be. Because obviously you've leveled up, so now the way you see yourself is at a higher level. The most important thing I have to say about this is the superpowers. No one else is you, and that's your superpower. But I have to emphasize that you have been constructing a legitimate function, a causal function that you can take action to replicate results every time. Now that we are at the full moon, we're no longer breaking out, we're now breaking through, to where now that you can do this repetitiously, how can you level up this power to the next level? And that's what the rest of this Aries season is going to be. Relative to the first 2 weeks that planted the seeds for a new ability and had you master it, now it's time to break through your presentation of this power in socially contextual situations that kind of draw this out of you to where you kind of need to use it in order to move forward. And so that you can complete the context of the understanding of who you are in this power by actual utilization of it in the highest level by the time we come into the moon in Capricorn in a week, which will help you learn how to transcend and even feel the knowledge of where this belongs and where you belong. So I would get really excited, because from new moon to moon in Virgo, that process of activating new superpowers was really more so in the sense like one practicing and mastering a new technique that you still just barely like opened up the concept of accepting exists. This full moon is what's going to really feel like the actual, I'm not going to say activation, but completion of that activation. The best analogy I can give you is the new moon in Aries was Peter Parker getting bitten by the spider. And then the moon in Taurus was him manifesting the quality of his body getting stronger. And then the moon in Gemini was him realizing that when he does this, he can shoot web slingers. Now from moon in Cancer to moon in Virgo, he's understanding how he feels as this change of his characters happened, and he had the courage to use his powers to help people. Moon in Virgo was where he was practicing slinging around the city. And so now we're at the full moon where he has his costume. There's Peter Parker, his identity, and then there's the presentation of who he is to the public in the form of Spider-Man. The presentation of that, which is the alter ego, which encapsulates the mastery of his power to where now he's busting missions. Now this week he's breaking through using his presentation as Spider-Man and everything he's mastered. I love this analogy, with him being able to shoot web slingers so that he can save the fucking day. And if you're ready to save the day, ask yourself, which you're going to gain crucial insight towards, what is your identity? And this is what we did as a group. For those of you who were live yesterday, we finally, through the moon in Virgo, realized we are the Infinity Gang. Infinity Gang Clan, Infinity Clan Gang, Infinity Gang, Infinity Clique, Infinity Club. We are Infinity Heirs, and I address you as the Infinites. Shout out to my Infinites watching me. And now this is a protocol with which we can identify and bridge our connections and create a more Aquarian group through. But I know that even though my name is Michael, I present myself as the peace dealer. Magic Mike is the peace dealer. So with that being said, you're going to understand how more to take this mastery of the integration of your character and present it in ways that actually classically express who not only you truly are, but now with the full mastery of your abilities, you're going to be performing your power in ways that fully encapsulate how much you have completed the mastery. And that's what the harvest is. We are now ready to, because think about it, as you were growing these crops, you still were watering the crops. Now you can harvest them. Now you can actually take the crops, use the power, and that's what's gonna happen this week. I hope you enjoy this full moon. Because this is so tied into a quantum, supernatural, and metaphysical pertaining to outside of your senses dynamic of your character, you are going to gain more considerable insight into relevant soulmate dynamics and partnerships than ever, whether romantic, whether platonic. Because you have now understood more who you are, you're going to begin the process of understanding others who bridge and match who you are. And I hope you enjoy that. Godspeed. Peace.